I would like to call the meeting of the Board of Directors of the Des Moines Public Schools to order for January 9th, 2018. Please take the roll.
Natasha Newcomb.
Here.
Miss Delagardelle-Shelley.
Here.
Miss Langford.
Here.
Miss Caldwell-Johnson.
Here.
Miss Ellsburn.
Here.
Miss Anderson. Here. Mr. Barron.
Here.
The first item on our agenda this evening is approval of the agenda. Are there any special requests? Hearing none, may I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda? We have a motion from Langford, a second from Natasha Newcomb. Please vote. Motion carries 7-0. The next item of business on our agenda is approval of the minutes. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2017 meeting?
Motion.
We have a motion from,
December 12th.
what did I say?
May.
December 12th, 2017.
To make sure. Hey.
We have a motion from Anderson. I don't know where I got that from. Maybe I wish it was spring already. We have a motion from Anderson and a second from Delagardelle-Shelley. Are there any discussions? Is there any discussion or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, please vote. Motion carries 7-0. The next item on our agenda is consent items, as we have no district recognitions. Before continuing with our regular meeting, I would like to remind the audience that we allow any person the opportunity to speak to the board for 5 minutes following the presentation of an agenda item. If anyone wishes to speak to an agenda item, please go to the information table to sign up. Remarks must be germane to the agenda, and we ask that you avoid reference to personalities and character attacks, as those types of comments serve no productive purpose. As a reminder to the board and public, the board will not engage in discussion or deliberation with the speaker regarding comments made to agenda items. Discussion and deliberation will remain among the board members at the board table, with speakers' comments informing said discussion, deliberation, and determination as deemed necessary. We appreciate your input. Natasha Newcomb, I believe that you have the consent motion this evening.
I do. I move that the board approve the consent items in accordance with the recommended action for each item on the consent agenda, including bills previously authorized, certified, and approved for payment by the board secretary in the amount of $8,588,333.20, and procurement card transactions in the amount of $649,274.95.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Natasha Newcomb and a second from Anderson. Is there any discussion on the consent items? Hearing none, please vote. Motion carries 7-0. The next item on our agenda is public hearing. We have one public hearing this evening. I will call the public hearing to order on item E1, secure entry addition and renovation at Hubbell Elementary School. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this item? Anyone that would like to speak to this item? Hearing no one, we will close the public hearing, and I will ask the superintendent to please introduce the matter.
I recommend the board review and approve the proposed plans and specifications prepared by CMBA Architects for a secure entry addition and renovation to Hubbell Elementary School following the public hearing.
Thank you. I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Good for the presentation.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Carrie Bell. I'm the principal at Hubbell Elementary. And I would like to introduce actually a Hubbell parent and one of the architects that is working on the project. His name is Kent Lutz, and he's with CMBA Architects.
Again, my name is Kent Lutz. I'm with CMBA Architects. I am also, as Carrie mentioned, a proud parent of 2 Hubbell Elementary School students. I don't see the image on the screen that I was going to try to describe the project. Aha. Sure. There's the arrows. And there's the mouse. Perfect. If you're not familiar with the Hubbell Elementary School site, I've got a site plan here that kind of explains where it is at in the city. It's at the intersection of 42nd and Center Street. So this is Center Street, 42nd, Here's the existing Hubble Elementary School. If you're familiar with the area, this is the Roosevelt Athletics Practice Facilities, and Roosevelt High School is directly to the west. There's a playground also just to the west of Hubble. And we're proposing an addition to the building right here, to the west side. On the left, I have a plan of the existing school as it stands today. This is the entrance through a small corridor, small custodial office and nurse's office, and the reception and principal's office area. And this is the existing kindergarten room. What we're proposing to do is to turn the existing kindergarten room into a new office area with a conference room and a counselor's office, as well as a larger nurse's office. We're also proposing a new, more secure entrance to the school in this area, and a replacement of the kindergarten room displaced by the renovation here. The intent for the aesthetics of the exterior of the building were to match the aesthetics of the historic building. This building was built in, I believe, 1909.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to blend in with its 1909 heritage, and we're proposing to use the same materials and make it blend. Right now, as it stands today, the existing west entrance was never meant to be a main entrance to the building. That just had changed over time. And we feel like this entrance actually says entrance in its appearance and looks. That's all I had. Thank you very much.
Pass that over.
Alrighty, so I want to talk about the benefits of this renovation and what it would mean to Hubble. When we first started talking about possibly adding on to Hubble, the main concerns for me were obviously the security of our students and also helping our students and our families. We're very, very limited in our space at Hubble. Every inch is utilized, and we currently do not have a private area to meet with families. So we don't have a conference room. So a lot of times I'll displace out of my office, or if a class is in specials, we'll go use their room. So just having a conference space for families to meet privately would be a huge benefit and important thing. It's a lot more welcoming. Like you said, we our main entrance right now doesn't really look like a main entrance, but where we're located at, it's the safest place to have students enter and exit. It enhances the security where we can have students, we do have a doorbell system that we let people in, but then they can come right into the office, and this would allow them to have the office locked down as well. Larger kindergarten space. Currently, the one kindergarten classroom that's being displaced will become a little bit larger, and that's always a good thing. And also the nurse's space will actually be able to have 2 cots in the nurse's office. There are days where she'll have 6 kids in there, and there's only 1 cot. So the main things were the security and larger nurse space and having a conference room for families.
As far as the timeline goes, as you can see, we're here tonight, January 9th. We do plan on starting this project, if it were to be approved, in the early spring, as early as possible. And again, just another project that we hope to have, or we plan to have finished, August 15th. The project budget is $850,000, and again, this is another designated Year 3 project from our statewide penny. I would also say that I really appreciate the time. There's a PTA meeting tonight at Hubble
Yeah.
that we're all missing, of course. But also there's some a daughter that's got a program tonight, so I'm very thankful the principal took the time tonight to be here with you. She said she'd much rather be with you guys.
Yeah. But our PTA, actually, I did send them the PowerPoint, and so they're actually reviewing it now, so they're aware, and they're actually pretty excited about it.
So with that, should the board have any questions or comments, we'd be happy to address those. I will say this is probably the last formal presentation. I know you're going to really miss us up here, but the other ones will all be in paper format. So, and I'm kind of thankful for that because, again, we're going to have a very busy summer.
Are there any questions for our presenters on the Hubble project? No? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the plans and specifications presented for the entry and renovation to Hubble Elementary School.
I'll move approval.
We have a motion from Ellsburn and a second from Natasha Newcomb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is item number F1, open enrollment late application for denial. I will ask the superintendent to please introduce the matter.
Yeah, per state code and district policy, we receive late applications for open enrollment, and Eleanor Shirley and her team review those with the cooperation of the Office of School Staff and make a determination as to whether there is a special cause exception. So what you have on your agenda tonight are those late applications that have been denied.
I would entertain a motion and a second to deny the open enrollment late application for the case number listed in the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion from Ellsburn and a second from De La Gardelle Shelley. Is there any discussion, comments, questions?
Oh, sorry. I think I've already talked to Tom and let him know that I would be voting no tonight. So.
Any other questions or comments regarding the late application for open enrollment?
I have a general process question that kind of goes back to just me still trying to learn about our open enrollment process. So if in cases where it felt like a student may need to get out of the particular feeder system, is that an option that's given, or are there only specific? Okay, so that would be an option that would be given in this case, but also in all
the cases.
In any cases. So parents could choose application to a particular building. It wouldn't just be like, here's the option and it's stay where you are, go to this option. There would be
especially in this case
there'd be a menu of options, right? Yeah. Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? Yes.
I'd just say too, both for my newest colleagues' benefit, but also specific to this case, the board's vote, if it's vote to deny the open enrollment application, is hopefully not the end of the process. And I think in particular in this case, I hope that there's some more discussion about other options within the school district for the student. Having had some interaction with one of the parents today, I think that there's room for, hopefully, for more discussion. So. Sure. Yeah. And that is something that we typically expect out of this process.
Well, and I was going to reiterate too that I think this is my first opportunity where I've had a parent actually reach out to me, and I always appreciate, I think, hearing from parents and having them be engaged with us on any issue. So for me, that was kind of a highlight today to get to talk with a parent about their student. So,
any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes 5 yes, 2 no, no abstentions. I would also definitely refer the family back to our office and to our superintendent for additional follow-up and additional conversation about other options that are available.
For sure.
Thank you for being here this evening. The next item on our agenda is item number F2, naming request for Lincoln High School gym floor. I would ask Dr. Ahart to please introduce this matter.
Yeah, so we've had a request by some active Lincoln High School athletic supporters to memorialize a former legendary coach at Lincoln High School by naming the gym floor after said coach. And I believe you have in your packet more information about the Coach Carl and why that request is being made. And there's also a hopeful plan, if approved, to actually have a ceremony recognizing that dedication at Lincoln High School in an upcoming basketball game.
Great. So we do have a couple of speakers for the item tonight. The first is Brian Johnson. If you could provide your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Brian Johnson, 6724 Panorama Drive, Panora, Iowa, and appreciate your time. I wish I had 15 minutes. Two former players off the championship team, Mike Caligari, Mike Nixon, plan to be here tonight. We thought your good superintendent might have some awards tonight. I know they're running late, but if they don't get here, that's fine. I taught in the Des Moines school system for a number of years at Lincoln and was fortunate enough to also be an assistant to Coach Carl. And Tim Leach is here as well with the Des Moines partnership at Southsider, and I think he understands that not only was he a great coach that worked very hard at it, but he was just as good or a better teacher. You saw the letters in your packet. I just want to take my time, I think, to note who some of those people are. You certainly know Nolan Gentry, former board member who also has given time, played at Iowa. Bobby Hansen, a former professional player. I look at letters like Richard Bates. Richard Bates is an executive now with State Farm, who has a son that plays at Ohio State. And Richard was one of my favorite players ever to go through, and I think he learned what hard work and what it meant to be successful. And I think that's what these players, if they get here, would tell you. And I think Tim saw that as well. Carl Kane has played at Iowa, was an All-American on the Olympic team. He had kids that went to Lincoln, and Carl is as fine a man as I know. And he also knows what it takes to be successful. And yet, certainly Mark Long. Frank Smith was a kid that went through all different schools in Des Moines, struggled his whole life living with different families, and is very successful now up in Minneapolis. Was a great basketball player, and I think he learned what it takes, the discipline and the hard work it takes to get in. Denny Dearden, who was an assistant in the 75 team and was an administrator of the National Principal of the Year, now living in Arizona, but again, he knows what it takes to do those kind of things. So we respectfully ask to name the floor Carl Court, and I know the Roundhouse is called Bowen Roundhouse, and I certainly worked for Mel Bowen, who was an excellent principal. I was out at Lincoln today. We'd like to paint the name on the court, is my idea. And I know the facilities administrator asked about cost, but I've had a number of players and other people on the south side willing to make sure we cover those costs. So we're looking into that, and if that doesn't work, we'll find an option. But we'd like to move ahead tonight. Lincoln, much like North, is going to have their first gala this year. It's on February 24th. It's my wife's birthday. She doesn't know that's where she's going yet. So, oh, good. But we will be there, and I know that Lincoln has indicated to me they'd like to name that, if you approve. They'd like to name the court at that time, or honor Coach Carl at that time, and then we'll put it down over the summer when they refinish the court. But we'll cover costs and do those kind of things. We'll work it out. We'll find a way to do it. So I appreciate your time and consideration. Thanks.
Thank you. We have a second speaker, Tim Leach. If you two could state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Tim Leach. I live at 3412 Waco Court, Des Moines, Iowa. I still live on the south side. I lived in Knoxville, Iowa, where John Carl came from for about 8 years, and then moved back to the south side. All my brothers, sisters, and I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters, all graduated from Lincoln High School, so my roots on the south side go very, very deep. As I stated in my letter, I never played basketball or football for John Carl. I was a student of John's, and I've known him for, well, I graduated in '74, so without doing the math, I've known him for quite some time. I can tell you that there are several teachers in my life that I remember, and I can name a couple of them from Lincoln High School. Rose Smith was one. Mr. Kern, the biology teacher, was one, and John Carl, I had him for class, and all of those taught me a lot about hard work and how to pass a class, how you needed to prepare yourself to be successful in college. And especially John, the way he taught was memorable for me. So I know a lot of the kids that played with him, still great friends today. I know Brian made a great list of how successful they are. I'm actually kind of proud to be submit a letter with some of the names that Brian made. So anyway, I respectfully request that you approve that naming that floor after Coach Carl, and I really respect your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it greatly. According to our procedures, and I've been in communication with Brian, and Deb has done a really great job of sort of keeping everybody connected and in the loop about the process, but according to our procedures, this is referred to a naming committee that's comprised of members of this board who will review the application and make a recommendation back to us. And I have asked the following individuals to serve on the naming committee. I'm asking Ms. Anderson to please chair that committee. And I'm also asking Ms. Ellsburn and Ms. De La Gardelle Shelley to serve on the committee, recognizing that there is a time certain when they would like to do the presentation, which is February 24th. I'd like to see if we could get this done and back to us maybe by the first meeting in February, so that we could make a decision and allow the planning to continue to the extent that the recommendation is favorable. So are you willing to serve? Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we appreciate you being here. If Mike and Mike show up, we'll let them know that you guys did a great job on their behalf. And we appreciate you being here and look forward to the committee bringing back a recommendation. We'll be in touch with you when we do plan to post that back on the agenda. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay, moving on. The next item on our agenda this evening is information-only items. I want to point out that we have submitted for board awareness CLAT committee notes from December, the Head Start Policy Committee notes for November, and preliminary plans for the various statewide penny projects. And I would definitely call that particular piece to the board's agenda, to the board's attention. If there are any questions, we'd ask that you direct those back to the individual that either submitted the notes or submitted the project plans. The next item is items of privilege. I don't really have anything official to share beyond the fact that this is indeed our first meeting of the 2018 year. We've got a lot ahead of us relative to budget, the legislative session, and a lot of other activities. So definitely much to look forward to in the coming weeks and months. The only other thing that I would offer is that we do have a board work session. We'll try to get through that as expeditiously as possible. Thank goodness there's no national football game tonight. That was last night, because I would have been trying to make a beeline out of here. But at any rate, we will try to get through that quickly so that people can get on with the rest of their evening. Are there any other board comments? Yes, Ms. Ellsburn.
Speaking of the legislative session, our first legislative coffee for CLAT happens this Saturday, the 13th, at Hubble Elementary in the library from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we hope to have a lot of people there ready to engage with our legislators around our Des Moines schools' priorities, as well as other education issues that face our state. And we are also looking to hold a meeting, actually a training for advocacy at the Capitol itself on Saturday morning, the 27th of January. So details are still in the works for that, but hopefully people will watch for that, and it would be a great opportunity for people to get the hands-on, right where it's going to happen training for talking to your legislators where they work.
Great. Any other board comments?
I'll just add to that. I love the idea of the Saturday session, because it gives an opportunity for people who work, who can't go to the Day on the Hill, to be engaged. So great idea, Deanna.
Great. Thank you. Just one other quick thing, and the superintendent may be commenting on this, Monday is a holiday for the district. It's the King Day celebration. And I know that there are a number of activities going on, but I do know that district students are going to be participating in a King Day Youth Summit that I think is after the ML King Prayer Breakfast at the Knapp Center, and I think that Matt and a few other folks are working on that. But there are a few other events and activities going on, and so it's really not a day off, it's a day on, and I would encourage those of us that are able to and interested to reach out and participate in some of the activities that are being made available in the community. Superintendent Ahart?
Yes, I would echo the comments of both Terry and Cindy, and also just a reminder that basketball season, we've talked about basketball here with the naming of Lincoln High's basketball court here soon, probably in the future. If you've not caught a basketball game recently, man, we have some really good teams out there this fall on both the boys and the girls side. I caught Roosevelt North last Friday, and holy smokes, do we have some talented players and really class acts in terms of coaches and fans. It's really a joy to be a part of. So the season is winding down. I have a feeling we're going to see some good playoff and possibly some state contenders this year, but before you run out of time and the weather really turns warm, I encourage you to get out there and support our players.
Great. Any other comments from board members? Hearing none, and without objection, our meeting is adjourned. We'll move into our work session in just a few minutes.